Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call the November 25th Town Board meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. First off, I just want to say that we had our food pantry this past Monday. It was very well received. We had a lot of families, a lot of new families show up. And considering that it's Thanksgiving week, it was very much needed. And once again, this is a permanent program now for as long as we still have funding and outside assistance. We do have free bus transportation provided for free by Rolling V. However, it's only as long as people use and utilize that transportation. So I would recommend that if you have the option to take the bus, take it, because it'll help others down the line.
How do they know how to find the bus?
We posted on our town Facebook page. You know, we have the times, pickup times at various locations at all the hamlets.
So all the post office.
Post office.
Yep. Yeah, and the specific times are listed. Anyone from public can reach out to us, we can repost it, or just send you the information. So I want to take a moment to talk about the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So in September 2021, Delaware Engineering issued a preliminary engineering report, basically outlining the potential upgrade, which now is happening. And at the time, they this is pretty much pre-COVID pricing, $57 million. But thanks to inflation and other factors outside of our control, the price has gone up and has shown us that delays ultimately cost us money. But after the preliminary engineering report, Delaware Engineering started working on the plans, and by, I believe, the end of 2023, they had, I believe, 90% of the plans, and then they completed to 100%. And that led us to securing financing, which is the $110 million bond, as well as the $10 million grant, and a percentage of that being interest-free. But it took us some time to get here, and obviously there's no fanfare, groundbreaking, anything like that, but we have officially broken ground on the upgrade, specifically with the first phase being the electrical upgrade. So the new plant, the new technology requires a lot of power to operate because of the technology that's used and the pumps that are required to be powered. So the first step was to work with NYSEG to upgrade our power capacity, and we also had to bury some lines and acquire some property next door, and that took time. But as we stand today, we have broken ground. We have the financing secured. So momentum has started, and we do not foresee anything that will require us to stall the project anyway. Everything is moving according to plan. It should take us, I think, like 35 years to complete the project. A lot of people asked about the cost of the project and the breakdown, saying that we're specifically upgrading our plant because we need capacity, and that's really part of the issue. First issue is that the plant is beyond its useful life, and it's gotten to the point where we cannot clean the effluent to the level that the speedies permit requires us to clean it to. We have leakage in the filtering pools, and the clarifiers. The whole place is falling apart and is beyond our useful life. So Delaware Engineering had given us an estimate of what the breakdown would be if we were to increase the useful life and keep it exactly the way it is. and they estimated about $50 million just to bring it back to where it's supposed to be and to meet our speedies permit. However, the next piece is that the DEC had clearly indicated to us that when the permit comes up for renewal every 5 years, next time it's up for renewal, they're going to want us to, to clean to a much higher standard. And it's essentially an unfunded mandate where they tell us, this is what we need you to clean to, this is what we need you to put into the Never Sink River, as partly dictated by the Delaware River Basin Commission. So they estimate that to bring our 2.5 million gallon plant, our 3.3 million gallon plant to the newer technology would cost us about $70 million, just to make DC happy. So, the preliminary engineering report basically discusses that, while we're doing this, we're out of capacity and it's time to increase capacity. So to bring us from 3.3 to 4.5 million gallons, that's the difference. It's approximately a $30-40 million upgrade. So the upgrade in capacity itself is about $30-40 million to bring us to current regulations is about $50 million, but to bring us to anticipated regulations about $70 million. So the reason I discuss this now is because these are infrastructure projects that are long overdue, and we're finally getting there. The ground has been broken, and now we just have to, the funding is in place, and now we just have to see it through. While I'm discussing the project, the subject, it's also important to discuss the Mountaindale plant. So the Mountaindale plant is, I think, a little under 400,000 gallons per day. It's an old lagoon-type system, and the DC has also reached out to us and given us indication that they're not going to allow this older technology to last forever. In addition, we are at a capacity in Mountaindale, but even more pressing is Davos. So Davos currently is hooked into the village of Woodridge, and we pay an out-of-district user charge for them to take on that capacity. The old Davos plant over there has long been decommissioned, and the DEC effectively will not allow us to restart that plant without affecting the current upgrade in South Fallsburg. So one of the major discussions that we had with regard to Davos is to hook it into Mountaindale. There's already discussions about upgrading Mountaindale. If we bring Davos into Mountaindale, that can help alleviate some of the issues. What a lot of people don't know is, in order to incentivize us to take back Davos, the village basically charges us something like 10 times the going rate for an out-of-district user, which we don't pass those costs along to the residents of Davos. That gets absorbed by the entire district as a whole. So essentially, we're all kind of paying into that. So it's really not sustainable, and theoretically they could raise those fees even more because they've indicated that they need that capacity for their own residents. So the discussion is now hooking them into Mountaindale, but Mountaindale's out of capacity, so we need to right-size the upgrade for Mountaindale. So we did receive a $75,000 grant from the state to do a preliminary engineering report for Mountaindale, and that's already been commissioned, and now we just have to wait. We don't anticipate the cost to be anything near South Fallsburg, only because South Fallsburg discharges into the Never Sink, which is part of the Delaware River Basin Commission, and they have much stricter thresholds than the Sandberg Creek, which eventually leads into the Hudson River. So we're not regulated to that level. So we've given Delaware Engineering instructions that they find us the cheapest, most effective technology that will allow us to take on Davos and be able to service anyone in the sewer district currently. Because the reality is, if you're in the sewer district, we have an obligation to provide services, whether we beg, borrow, or steal, we have to provide those services. And there are still a lot of properties in the Mountaindale area that are in the district and can hook in and have the right to hook in, have been paying the capital charges to hook in, but we just don't have the capacity. So one way or another, Mountaindale is gonna be next to up. It is years away, but it is in the making. So that's the report I wanted to give to the public, to let you know where we stand with the current wastewater treatment plant upgrade, as well as the discussions we're having with Mountaindale. All right, do we have any correspondence tonight?
It's a letter of recognition for officers Jacob Miller and Michael Krushetzky, school resource officers, Fallsburg Police Department. On behalf of the town of Fallsburg Police Department, I am proud to formally recognize Officer Jacob Miller and Officer Michael Krushetzky for their outstanding dedication and exemplary performance as school resource officers assigned to the Fallsburg Central School District. On November 4, 2025, Officer Miller received a report that 2 winter jackets valued at over $1,000 with proof of purchase had gone missing from the outdoor playground at Bensimon Elementary School. Taking quick action and investigative skills, Officer Miller immediately reviewed school surveillance footage, which revealed that an AmeriCare medical transport van had dropped off an individual who then removed the jackets from the property. Officer Miller promptly contacted AmeriCare to identify the individual involved. Once the subject was located in Livingston Manor, both Officer Miller and Officer Krushetzky traveled to the residence and successfully recovered both jackets before they could be sold, donated, or otherwise disposed of. Their quick and thorough investigation ensured the safe return of the property and provided peace of mind to the affected families. Although recovering 2 stolen jackets may not be considered the crime of the century, the incident serves as a powerful example of what our school resource officers contribute to our schools and communities each day. Their actions reflect not only their professionalism, but also their committed the well-being of our students, our staff, and the integrity of the Fallsburg Police Department. In a world where negative news often overshadows the good, this case stands as one of the thousands of acts our officers perform every year that rarely make headlines. This is who we are. We protect, we serve, and we uphold the values of our agency with pride. Officer Miller and Officer Krushetzky are not only invaluable assets to the Fallsburg Central School District, but they are shining examples of what the Fallsburg Police Department represents. I am tremendously proud of both of you under my command, and I know you will continue to serve this community with honor and excellence. Let this letter serve as formal recognition of your dedication and being placed in your personnel file accordingly upon the Chief of Police review. Fraternally, Sergeant Philip W. Brooks.
It's amazing. I'd like to give him a hand of applause. This is just a reminder that school resource officers do more than just security. You know, they do investigations when necessary, and this is a good example of that. Any other correspondence tonight? No. All right, then at this point, I'll go ahead and open it up to public comments. Has anyone signed up to speak?
James Legari, please.
Mr. Supervisor, I really want to thank you for that update as to where we are with the wastewater treatment plants. That was very educational. Along the same lines, we have 2 resolutions on the end of tonight's agenda, both of them referring to lawsuits against the town and against our town planning board. And the one part that I didn't understand after looking this up, it wasn't clear how the human care services for families and children got involved in this. So recognizing that a lot of this is now public because of what you can look up on as far as the cases against the town, can you add a little bit more explanation for those of us here in the audience and for those that might be on Zoom tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
When I get up to that resolution, I'll expand on it.
Thank you.
Mary Adams.
Good evening. And thank you for that. That was very interesting and great to hear progress. So I have a couple of questions. So the perennial park project easement. So I know that that's a development up on 52, and there were some conditions, and I think that you're on here for authorizing an easement. But I'm just wondering if all the conditions have been fulfilled before you approve that. So my questions are, so I gather that they help pay for an upgrade to the sewer pump station, which is going to be servicing their project, because they have private wells. They don't have, they're not, well, they do have town sewer, but they don't have town water. And they also agreed to extend, repair, and bring the entrance off of Edgewood Road and Whipple Road up to town specs and requirements at their expense. So I'm just interested to know, did those all happen before you do this easement, which I think is pretty customary. I don't think it's that unusual, the easement, but I wouldn't mind hearing more about that. But more, do we want to approve something if they haven't completely met their conditions? So that's first question. Second question was about resolution number 10 and the environmental review declaration as lead agency for a project funded by the Restoring Communities Initiative. So that was interesting. That's really great that we got involved in that project, because that's a statewide project of, I guess it's for tearing down buildings and restoring buildings. But I'm interested, I haven't heard about it before, but I could have missed it, and wondering if we get to hear what it is that you're thinking of using the money for, and what kind of upgrades and all that. I'd be interested to know, and can we weigh in on that at all?
I can clarify that
Yeah.
for you, sure.
And I think, yeah, and I was just kind of interested in the Article 78 for whatever you can explain in number 13. Thank you.
Amy Carey?
You always have something interesting to say. You're very
Amy Carey.
intelligent.
Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I just want to thank this board for all the kind words and encouragement and positive thoughts that you gave me for the last few months, as well as everybody here in the audience and who voted. I really, truly appreciate it. And looking forward, I hope this board works together very well as a team to move forward for the town of Fallsburg. And good luck. I know you have a lot on your plates now. I'd like to maybe add something else, if you don't mind. I read an article recently, the Sullivan County Government Center put out about their right to farm in Sullivan County. So currently 11 out of 15 towns have adopted the right to farm laws, and you probably have seen their signs with usually a pretty green tractor on it. It has the town below, and they're usually at every entrance to the town on each main road. So Fallsburg, Tustin, Highland, and Thompson are the last 4 remaining towns who have not adopted right to farm, and I believe I remember why Fallsburg doesn't do it, but I don't want to misspeak. This is going back from my youth, so I certainly don't want to misspeak. But it really is a worthwhile thing to look into. There are quite a few of us who are trying to keep agriculture alive in this town. I drive a tractor constantly on Divine Corners. I have been almost run off the road quite a few times, and it's terrifying. So even just having those capabilities of having the signs up to educate those who come into our town that this is a right to farm town, and certainly it helps protect the agriculture land a little bit more and gives you guys that kind of power with New York State backing you, as well as New York Farm Bureau, who's one of the biggest lobbyist group on agriculture in the nation, gives you more of a backbone to say, well, these are the laws and this is what we need to do to help protect our open spaces. Also gives you a little bit more clout with our local year-round residents to show that you are supportive. So if you have time on your agenda, Melinda Meadow and Heather Brown the Sullivan County Ag Commission, and Melinda's in the Public Extension, would be the point ladies there, who might give you some insight, but it's easy to Google New York State's right to farm law, to give you some insight. All right, thank you very much.
Hip hip hooray.
Anyone else signed up, like to speak tonight?
Michael Gold is here, he's here for a discussion.
For the agenda item?
Yeah.
later tonight? Okay, we'll deal with that when we get to it.
That's it.
Is anyone online that would like to speak tonight? Any public comment?
Nope. Oh, wait, Steve, are you raising your hand? No, okay.
So no, okay.
No.
All right, so then with that, I will go ahead and close public comment and move on to our agenda items for tonight. All right. Number 1, motion to approve town board minutes dated 11/18/25.
Motion? Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 2, motion to approve warrant number 11B25 dated 11/21/25 in the amount of $2,133,379.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 3, motion to approve warrant number 11C25 dated 11/20/2025 in the amount of $529,242.85.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 3, motion to accept the retirement of Pat McNamara as greenskeeper effective 12/31/2025.
Second.
I have
How
a
long has
motion.
he worked here, worked in town?
Quite a few years.
Like a long time.
A long time,
Think so?
many years.
Wow, okay.
So I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 5, motion to approve employment of Richard Karchenko as lifeguard with a pay of $20 per hour effective 11/3/2025.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 6, motion to approve employment of Jennifer Santos as junior lifeguard with a pay of $20.25 per hour effective 11/3/2025.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 7, motion to approve employment of Addison Ingber as lifeguard with a pay of $20 per hour effective 11/3/2025.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 8, motion to approve employment of Justin Parsons as senior lifeguard with a pay of $22.75 per hour effective 11/3/25.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, so the next one is a resolution. So, just to clarify this a little bit, about more than 2 years ago, the board had given Perennial Park approval for a sewer district extension. They did all the work, did all the engineering, and then came back to the board for final approval, for which at that point the board previously had already committed to doing the extension, and so we provided them the extension as was required. However, now they're at a point where they need to install a sewer pump, but it's on town property. So they don't have the authorization to just dig up town property, so we need to grant them the easement to be able to go in and install the sewer pump. All conditions are still in effect, but this would allow them to perform the work legally without, trespassing. So, number 9, resolution number 102 of 2025, authorizing Perennial Park project easements. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, resolution passes. Number 10, so the Restore New York Communities Initiative, this is essentially, we have to declare lead agency, otherwise there are other agencies that can declare lead agency, but historically, the town, as a sponsor, would be the lead agency. The Restore New York Communities Initiative, I believe, was the REFUA grant to tear down that old asbestos filled building. So we've already, received the grant, $750,000, or we were awarded the grant, but we still have to go through a legal process. One of those things is to declare lead agency, to be able to accept the grant.
And just if I may, the seeker actually has been done on the project. There was an approval for it, and there were seeker at that time. The grant itself, as you know, is a type 2 action. It just continues, and the underlying actions are governed by seeker. But at the kickoff meeting, they insisted on an updated declaration of lead agency to basically ratify it. It's all the same, and ultimately there'll be a final declaration, but they needed it current. That's why it's to be done again.
It was done like almost 10 years. But
Yeah, that's
it
why.
was
So
done.
they just, it was done, and it's all
So it's
fine.
more of a
However,
formality
it
to
has to be
ensure that
done
we're
again
covered.
as part of this package, so that's what that is.
Understood. Thank you. All right, so number 10, resolution number 103 of 2025, lead agency declaration for the environmental review of a project funded by the Restore New York Communities Initiative. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Abstain.
All right, I'm a yes, and we have one abstention, so 3-0-1.
This is on Laurel Avenue, is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Next to the senior center over there. All right, so number, this is more of a formality as well. Usually when new developments get built, they have to name the inner roads, for 911 purposes. And they essentially get to name their own roads, provided that the county approves of the naming. So, we're essentially just looking to ratify that, what was already approved by the county. So resolution number 104 of 2025, naming Bridge Circle and Anemone Lane in a private community known as Perennial Park, SBL number 11-1-29.1 in the town of Fallsburg. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, resolution passes. So the next two are really the same. I guess I could speak to it on some level. So essentially, we are looking to engage in special counsel to, I guess, represent the planning board. So HCS went to the planning board for an approval of, I don't remember, I think something. And they did end up receiving an approval with conditions.
It was an amendment of the site plan, adding 2 buildings.
So that's what it was?
It was an amendment of the existing approved site plan.
So HCS went to the planning board for an amendment of an existing site plan to add 2 buildings. The planning board went through their process. They granted an approval with certain conditions. The applicant, I guess, is not happy with those conditions, and they're seeking to appeal their approval with those conditions. At the same time, the neighbor next door, Venetian Villas, is also seeking to sue the planning board for granting any kind of approval for which they believe they shouldn't have been granted any approval whatsoever. So they're gonna seek to appeal the planning board's decision to approve with certain conditions. So essentially, it's the same case, different parties, and because our town attorneys really are here to provide us guidance in certain municipal work, but they're not here to provide additional litigation. That's a substantial amount of time and effort. We're looking to contract with outside special counsel, which is essentially our town attorneys, to provide additional time and effort to represent the planning board on this litigation. So it's unfortunate, but it's something that it's our responsibility to provide them with that defense. So number 12 Resolution number 105 of 2025, authorizing engagement of special counsel in connection with litigation from Yitzchak Klein, Chaim David Lerner, and Menachem Deutsch individually, and as the Board of Managers of the Venetian Villas condominiums against the Town of Fallsburg Planning Board and HCS, or Human Care Services for Families and Children Incorporated, Sullivan County Index Number E2025-2376.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, resolution passes. Same thing, number 13, resolution 106 of 2025, authorizing engagement of special counsel with respect to Article 78 proceeding, referencing E 2025-2140, and as referenced in the resolution before, E 2025-2376.
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. So that's it for our resolutions, for our agenda items tonight. We do have one discussion items on the agenda, and we have potential purchase of town land, specifically SBL number 50-2-23, presented by Mike Gold. Please step up, sir.
Hi, so my name is Michael Gold. I live on Highland Drive in South Fallsburg. And behind my house is a 6-acre piece of property that I purchased about 30 years ago. And I recently had a survey, and the surveyor pointed out to me there is a little piece of property that's landlocked. It belongs to the town of Fallsburg. The town of Fallsburg used it in 1930, I think they said, for a pump station. But there's nothing there now, which is taken in. It's 40 feet by 40 feet. I don't really need it for anything, but it would make my property line straight. It's supposed to be enough, and I have a little map when I look at it. Oh, you have it. See it? Yeah. In other words, it's that little piece, right there, that little piece.
Yeah, it juts into the
Yeah,
project.
so it would give me a straight border, but anyway, so I would like to know what the procedure is, if you're interested, and get back on that, or look at
Okay, I mean, do you have a price, or, I mean, how does
Well,
that work?
when I originally purchased this, the town of Fallsburg had this road with a cul-de-sac, you know. And I asked if I could buy that back. I think I bought it for $100 because they wanted it back on the tax roll.
Okay.
So I don't have a price, but the less the better.
I don't know what the procedure is, I don't know if you have to put it out to bid for a public auction,
No,
or?
I don't think so. So the procedure, because you're allowed to sell private or public sale, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put a landlocked piece of this size up for public auction, because it's only gonna cause problems later. There's no logical reason why. If you look at the deed recital, it's deed 223. It's probably like a 1920 deed that was the last owner other than Fallsburg's use. And as you can see, you have a modern owner. Most doses at library page 2086, which is almost a century later, and Mr. Gold, which is also almost a century later. So the procedure would be that the town has to, pass a resolution saying that the town does no longer have a use for it, and now is willing to sell. It's subject to permissive referendum, and we would have to come up with a value. We looked at the full market value based on the assessed value would be $2,500. That's what's on the rolls now. So depending on how the parties want to proceed, there is a procedure. We pass a resolution. It's the same kind of resolution that we pass routinely when we acquire or dispose of property. It's subject to permissive referendum, which means after you pass the law or pass the resolution, it gets published. We have to wait 30 days to see if the public petitions to require a referendum, which would be extraordinarily unlikely. And then we can make the conveyance at that time.
So if somebody comes and offers like 10,000 for the
It's not
parcel,
the
we can
law.
ignore them and just sell it to the...
Because as long as the board finds that you no longer need it, it's in the best interest, the logical person to buy it is the owner of the lot 6112, because it is a part of it, and it is a carve out. It makes the lot whole, it's landlocked. You know, I don't see that the town would question if there was a sale. It's just that we have to go through the process because it is a permissive referendum. If you don't go through the process and someone objects, they're actually able to overturn the resolution because you failed to follow proper procedures.
And you said that this used to be a pump station?
Well, there's nothing there. I mean, I grew up there and I walked those woods for years. I never saw anything there, but I saw in a deed that it was
It was-
1930, there was a pump there.
The town took it for that, but Randy doesn't think we've ever used the property.
So we don't have any infrastructure?
There's nothing there.
We would have to do, or actually, Mike would have to do a search so we get a chain of title to see what, if there's anything else, if anyone else has an interest in the property, we would need to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 40 feet, 40 feet.
Yes, I
Yeah,
understood.
but theoretically, if somebody offers like 100,000 for it, we can ignore them and just give it to the neighbor.
I think if someone were to do that, you probably would want to take it.
I mean, it would make no sense, because it's landlocked.
I don't know that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I get it.
Well,
But
then
I
the
would-
owner
I would
can get an
expect-
easement of necessity and get access to the property.
No,
I mean, you'd have to fly in, as Superman or something.
the easement of necessity would be privity. They would have to be the one that got carved off incorrectly. Like, so if somebody else was there, it got carved off, and no access was provided at that time, that's an easement by necessity. So you can't actually have an easement by necessity here, because you don't have the facts. So, and I doubt Mr. Gold would be interested in 40 by 40 for 100 grand. All right, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm really the town attorney on this, but I'm going out on a limb saying 100 grand would be too much. So that's what it is, and it's just, it happens from time to time that you end up with these little odd landlocked pieces because of whatever happened, 8 years ago.
Thank you.
So-
Any questions from the board?
No, I just would need a sense of the board whether we would proceed, and then we can coordinate. You can let me know who's gonna represent you on it, or if you're gonna represent yourself. David wants to come and say hello. Haven't seen him in a long time.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely, don't worry.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, based on that consensus.
I don't know,
we're
where my, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't like to get into the real estate business with public land, so I'm always hesitant when it comes to these kind of transactions. But, yeah, I'll go with the majority of the board on this.
I don't even know if you could land a helicopter in there for a tiny house.
I don't think you can. Not 40 by 40, not 40 by 40. I'm telling you, Superman is the only thing,
Has to be
Superman.
100 by 100,
Yeah.
like a helicopter.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Amy knows.
Amy would know, but like, Superman is your only bet, that's getting the 40 by 40, that's it, from
He's
overhead,
probably busy doing other things.
a little bit.
Okay, so where do I go? Yeah, I'm waiting to hear. That's,
No, just, let me know if you're gonna represent yourself, you're gonna have someone deal with it, and then call my office.
okay.
I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
Ring your bell.
7911,000.
Everybody's
Thank you.
writing it down.
Okay, so I'm good, I'm good.
You're
Thank
good.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, Mr. Gold. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and we are adjourned. Thank everyone for coming tonight.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll see you next week. Have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.